Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my game room, or as my wife calls it, the Jack Shack. I had a lot of fun making my last video about my game collection, and I thought today I would make a video about my entire PS1 collection. But then I thought nobody wants to hear me ramble on about Dora the Explorer, Barnyard Buddies, and Mary-Kate and Ashley's Crush Course. Remember Mary-Kate and Ashley?
The perfect pizza.
But I will talk about one of the gems in my PlayStation 1 collection, and that is Tomba. According to the back of the box, one of the best 32-bit platformers out there, if not the best, and I think I wholeheartedly agree with that. I originally played this on a PlayStation 1 demo disc, and I was absolutely obsessed with it. I played that demo over and over and over again, but didn't actually end up playing the full game until I was an adult. I think I was an adult. It was on the PS3, so. But if you don't know what a demo disc is, essentially a demo disc, they would come in magazines or they would be available at retailers, and they would just allow you to play a bunch of games for a limited amount of time, much like, the demos you can download digitally now on, PlayStation, Steam, Nintendo, all those kinds of things. I actually think, now that I think about it, I found this at a thrift shop. I think it's this specific demo disc. I think when I was a kid, I had this, and I would play Tomba over and over again, and I would play on this one, Brave Fencer Musashi, which I actually still have not played. It's one of the games I'm looking for my collection. But if you haven't played Tomba, yeah, it's essentially one of the best platformers there are out there. One of the interesting things outside of like the tight platforming that you can actually do, like you can hang from things, jump from things, you can jump off enemies, kind of grab onto them and throw them. But I think one of the coolest things about Tomba is how kind of seamless its world is. If you think about a lot of platformers from back in the day, there is a lot of like, okay, this is the overworld or this is the hub, and you select a level and then you kind of can platform in there. But this is more of like an RPG, and the world is seamless. So you kind of travel from point A to point B. There is some backtracking back and forth, and the world is beautiful, and there's lots of kind of items and weapons to discover. It's just a lot of fun. So Tomba is quite expensive if you want to get it on the original PS1. They did re-release it. I believe it was a limited run, so you can actually get it on Steam. You could probably get it on Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox. I'm not sure about Xbox. I'm not much of an Xbox guy, although with everything that's going on with the PlayStation, that might change. If Xbox does some good. I know they're terrible as well, but anyways, I digress. This particular copy I got on a bid on eBay. It was a little bit cheaper than what it's worth because unfortunately, the cover is a little bit water damaged. I don't know if you can kind of see it. It's warped there. Also, shout out, I had someone in the comments talking about Jersey Devil. There she is. I don't own that on PS1. I have it on my modded PSX Classic, but great game. Definitely recommend picking up. One thing I like collecting PS1 games for is just like the spine. I love kind of uniform spines. Obviously, the logos are different, but they're all kind of black spines with the title. There might be like some other kind of stuff on it, especially if you have like greatest hits. I believe there's like a green bar on the spine as well. But I like how uniform the spines are. And that kind of brings me to what I wanted to talk about next. I love collecting games on the original Nintendo Switch, to the point where if I play a game digitally, like an indie game on PlayStation or on my PC, I will go back and buy a physical if it releases on the Nintendo Switch. Even if it has a copy on the PlayStation, I will buy it on the Nintendo Switch. And part of the reason is I love how uniform the Nintendo Switch games look on my shelf. You can kind of see it behind me. Maybe I'll get a close up there. Obviously, like with some of the collector's editions or double packs and stuff like that, the spine changes just a little bit. But I love how uniform it is. It kind of reminds me of like Sega Genesis games back in the day. I just love it. Yes, of course, it might make it harder to find the title you're looking for, because you do have to kind of look at the white text on the red background. But I just love the way it looks, to the point where I don't even like the Nintendo Switch 2 games. I don't like the way they look on my shelf. Of course, maybe over time when I get more, it'll kind of grow on me. Right now, I think I only have five Nintendo Switch 2 games physically. But yeah, I just love how uniform the Nintendo Switch spines look, to the point where when I built my PC, one of the very first games I played was Disco Elysium. And I love this game so much that when I heard that I Am 8-Bit was releasing a physical version of Disco Elysium, I had to buy it. Of course, they released like a PS4 version. I believe it was PS4 and Nintendo Switch. I bought the Nintendo Switch version strictly because, like I said, I like the way that the spines look. I don't know, because I've actually never played this on Nintendo Switch. Maybe I'll do some research, but I don't know how well it runs on the Nintendo Switch, but it looks amazing. This copy came with like a huge red box, which I would show you right now, but I put it on this Calyx shelf I got from IKEA to display some of my collectibles, and the box is the same size of the shelf, and it is just jammed in there. I cannot get it out. My wife has smaller hands than me, so she had to kind of like shimmy her way in there, and she was able to push it forward a little bit. I think I'd actually have to like push the Calyx shelf to get it out. But if you've never played Disco Elysium, I highly recommend it. It is an amazing CRPG where you play a middle-aged detective who essentially wakes up after a night, or maybe more than a night, of binge drinking with amnesia, and behind the bar there's a hanged man on a tree, and you have to solve his murder. And what's cool about it has like tabletop RPG elements where you're basically like rolling dice based on your stats, kind of like D&D, and the better your roll, the more chance of like success. You could also fumble. You can kind of play it the way you want to play it. You can be a terrible human being or be an excellent detective. The world is yours to kind of play around in, and also it's very political, a very political game. It kind of starts off as just kind of like a murder mystery, but as you are trying to solve this murder, you learn more and more about the world and how kind of divided its people are, based on like the political spectrum. And it's very cool, very smarter than me. I'll give it that, but very fun. And the one of the endings I got, it's just wild. I don't know if it's like the definitive ending, but I'm not going to spoil it because I highly recommend you go and play it. But one of the endings, which is I think what cemented my love for this game, is just so wacky. It has to do with, I think, a praying mantis. I don't know. I have to go back and play it, but definitely a great game. Definitely recommend it. The physical copies are expensive. They're hard to get your hand on. I don't know if like it's just the physical copies with the actual collectible, which the collectible box is cool. It comes with like a fabric map, an art book, a figurine, a sleeve for the game, but I don't think I'll ever open it, although I want to. I also bought the vinyl. I collect vinyls as well, for different artists. I have a couple of video game vinyls, and Disco Elysium was one of the ones that I snatched up right away. Speaking of dark and gritty M-rated political thrillers, the next game I wanted to talk about in my collection is Animal Crossing, specifically Animal Crossing on the Nintendo GameCube. And I don't even know what to say about this game. This game means a lot to me. And it kind of goes to show the power of video games. When I was younger, I didn't have the best upbringing. You know, we didn't have a lot of money, but we did have a GameCube, which was a lot of fun. And I remember I had saved up some money. I don't remember where exactly I got the money, but I had saved up some money. And the first thing I ever bought with my own money was Animal Crossing on the GameCube. I actually didn't know much about it, but I bought it based on the cover art. It looked like a lot of fun, and I was just really interested to try it out. And it changed my life. I was not in a good place. You know, things weren't always fun growing up. The life I had in Animal Crossing was a lot of fun, and it brought my family together as well. I think my family caught me playing it, and they really wanted to play as well. So we had our own little village, and we would play day in and day out. I wasn't above time skipping back then. I think now I'm more of like an Animal Crossing purist, where I will play day in, day out, and not change the time at all. But when it came to the original Animal Crossing, I was skipping. I was doing the Christmas events in the middle of the summer and all that kind of fun stuff. This one is especially cool because it comes with a memory card inside of it, and I have the memory card. This is not my original copy, but the memory card actually has a special gift in it. I don't remember what exactly it is, but it's very cool to have it in the first place. And this game is just so nostalgic for me. Not only nostalgic in the sense of like, it reminds me of being a kid, but it kind of feels like my entire childhood. If you've never played an Animal Crossing game before, it's basically a life sim game where you are in a town, you collect fish and bugs and fossils, and basically you can build your collection of those, you can sell them, you can get furniture by helping out your neighbors, and it's just a lot of fun. There's a raccoon who is basically a skeevy raccoon who gives you a house for free, but it's not free. You actually have to pay him back an extravagant amount of money. Not my favorite Animal Crossing. I think maybe my favorite based on the premise of like nostalgia. I think my favorite Animal Crossing is probably Animal Crossing New Leaf on the 3DS, which is, I think, even though I played so much of this version of Animal Crossing, I think I put way more time to Animal Crossing on the 3DS, but just a great game. Just like, honestly, if you've played this as a kid, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, this is just like such a beautiful experience. It really goes to show you the power of video games. I used to talk a lot about, when I was in journalism school, escapism. Escapism being the idea of you play video games to basically be encompassed in this world and experience to escape from your everyday problems. And I think even though I was a little kid, that's exactly what I was doing with Animal Crossing. I would get home from school, immediately start playing it. I'd play it until like 4 a.m., get a little bit of sleep, wake up, go to school, and then just do it all over again. All right, I'm back from bawling my eyes out. The next game I wanted to talk about, I want you to close your eyes and imagine if Capcom made Legend of Zelda, but you were able to play as a dog, which I guess, I mean, in Twilight Princess, which is behind my butt, I'm not going to grab it, you could play as a dog. But imagine a Legend of Zelda made by Capcom where you played as a dog and you could pee on your enemies. And that's exactly what you get when you pop in Okami. This is the original Okami on the PS2. This isn't originally where I played it. I actually played this kind of in my early to I think like my mid-20s when I had just finished journalism school. Played it on my PS3. I downloaded it just based on my brother's recommendation, and I absolutely fell in love. This game is massive. You play as Amaterasu, which is probably how you say her name. You play as
Amaterasu.
That doesn't sound right. Let's try British pronunciation.
Amaterasu.
That sounds better, but also very British. But yeah, you're basically a god reimagined as a dog. Editor note, dog is god backwards. Back to the video. And you're basically trying to save the world from darkness. You can paint certain symbols that do different things. Like, for example, if you do a certain action, the paintbrush might make water, or it might fix a bridge. There's a number of things that you can do with the paintbrush, and you can also run around and explore, get new and different abilities. The way that combat works in this game is very interesting, where as opposed to kind of running around like Legend of Zelda and actually just beating enemies in the overworld, whenever you get into combat, you enter in this kind of instance, which is like a circle, and you just kind of battle the enemies that way. This game is beautiful. It's based on like kind of a Japanese mythology. It's a very Japanese game. But this game is massive to the point where at one point you think you've beaten the game, but that is not the conclusion. The game has a wild twist and starts anew. This game was also on the Wii. I never played it on the Wii, but I assume, just making assumptions, that if you did play it on the Wii, you could use your Wiimote to paint, which is pretty cool. Also, super excited that Capcom is making a sequel. It was announced, I think, either last year or the year before. We haven't really seen any news since then, but there is going to be an Okami 2. So if you haven't played the original Okami, you need to play it now, or play it at least before the sequel comes out, because it is amazing, and I have no doubt in my mind that Capcom will do it justice and make a beautiful, beautiful game. I think actually I might be wrong. I think this is just distributed by Capcom, and it was developed by Clover Studio. Yeah, that was a mix-up. It was distributed by Capcom, made by Clover Studio, who also made Beautiful Joe. I don't know, is the sequel being made by, does Clover Studio still exist? Let's look this up. Okay, so after going down the rabbit hole that is Google, yes, the sequel is being made by the original director and a couple of different employees from Clover Studio, which did shut down, but has now kind of come back to life under Capcom as Clover's Inc. So should be pretty good. My hopes are high. Please don't break my heart. And the very last game I wanted to talk about is kind of a controversial game, but is one of my favorites. If you watch my last video, you know I have a deep love for Persona, and this game was made by that very same team and features music once again from Shoji Meguro, and it is a fantastic soundtrack, fantastic game, and that is Catherine. I think the game is very good and tells a very interesting and kind of introspective story. The story is about Vincent, our main character, who has a girlfriend named Catherine with a K, not with a C. And basically, this younger Catherine, the one we see on the box here, which there are several different kind of box arts based on the console you bought it on. Like if you bought it on the Xbox, I believe it actually features Catherine with a K. But he basically starts having an affair with this other Catherine, but he can't remember doing anything. He starts to have these nightmares where he is in nothing but his boxers, kind of vaguely looks like a sheep. The gameplay of this is basically two puzzles in one. The one puzzle is kind of managing social situations much like you do in Persona and making decisions which affect your moral barometer, where you can make decisions that negatively impact you, where you're more of kind of like an evil coded character, or you make decisions that are positive and you're more of a positive coded character. And then at night, during the nightmare sections, it's actually a puzzle platformer where the goal is to climb up the tower by pulling blocks, pushing blocks, and making platforms so you can kind of get higher and higher and higher as the bottom falls out. I am addicted to the platforming in this game, and it is a lot of fun. I remember the first time playing this, no idea what it was, and then getting to that platforming section and just being instantly in love. It's just so much fun. It's addictive. Every time you hit an edge of something and it's kind of caught on the edge, it goes edge, edge. I'll play it here. And that was like kind of etched into my mind to the point where I would close my eyes and I would hear edge, edge. Even when I go back and replay it, I would hear edge, 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 edge. Such a great game. One of my favorite things about this game is, so a lot of the interactions take place in a bar. There is an arcade where you play this mini game called Rapunzel. And Rapunzel is basically like a dumbed down version of the nightmare sections in the game. There's actually lore around it as well, and it almost gives you an opportunity to learn different techniques and practice, for lack of a better term. Something interesting about me, I guess it's not really that interesting, but I love when games have like full ass games as a mini game within them. A perfect example of this is the game Eastward, which, if you haven't played Eastward, really great indie game inspired by games like Earthbound and Legend of Zelda. But in this game, there's a mini game that's in the world canonically is a video game that they play called Earthborn, and it's basically a roguelite where you have a party. It's a turn-based RPG, very much like Earthbound, and you basically have to defeat like the Demon King. And it's a lot of fun. It's addicting. I think it's probably one of my favorite parts about Eastward. Another good example is Tiger in Xenoblade 2, which I don't think is as in-depth, but still very enjoyable when you have like mini games within games. But the Rapunzel game in this is a lot of fun. Catherine Full Body, which released on the PS4 and has like this neat little steelbook on the inside. I love steelbooks. I love good steelbooks. It introduces another Catherine with a Q, which is its separate storyline. There's actually multiple endings in the game based off of your moral barometer and the decisions you make. Highly recommend you pick up Catherine if you can kind of see beyond its slightly misogynistic and dated views. Great little game, especially if you love the Persona series. I think you love this. If you love puzzle games, you'll definitely love it, because that's the story aside and kind of the animations and stuff. The reason my love for this is so deep is just the puzzle elements. I love a good puzzle game, and you will get tons of enjoyable hours playing the puzzles in this game. There's actually like challenges as well when it comes to the puzzles. There's a multiplayer mode. Very good game, highly recommended. And that's it. Those are all the games I wanted to talk about today. If you like this video, please drop me a like. Let me know your favorite collectibles, or if you want to chat about any of the collectibles I shared today, please let me know. And let me know if you like these kind of videos, because I have a lot of fun making these. I don't often do videos where I go off script, because I have a tendency to ramble and get ahead of myself, but I've been very much enjoying making this series, kind of showing off my collections, first and foremost because I get to go through my collection and touch all my games. Ooh, I don't often get to touch them. Let me know, what are your favorite games that you've collected over the years? And I will probably be back talking about more of my favorite games in my collection, because I have a lot to talk about. This isn't even all of my games. I have a bunch of games in my closet. Do you want me to go in my closet? You want me to go in my closet and get my games? Because I'll do it. I'll do